Out front now, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who sits on the Judiciary Committee. Senator, good to have you with us tonight. I do want to note for transparency here, CNN is suing for access to the Biden audio tapes. Your Senate colleague, Democrat Mark Warner, told the AP, quote, "You've got to release the audio." Do you agree?
I think that the Attorney General has an obligation to follow the direction of the President of the United States when the President of the United States asserts executive privilege. You can't go after the agent when the principal has said, no, this is an executive privilege matter. That's the thing you sue over. You sue the President and say in a civil case to a court, hey, this was an improper assertion of executive privilege. The rich thing here is the Republicans continuously obstructed us. The Trump administration continually obstructed Congress over and over and over again, over 100 times, as I recall, and virtually never did President Trump actually assert executive privilege. So it was asserted by all of his minions, but he never actually made the assertion. Here the president did what the Reagan memo from years ago requires the president to do and make the assertion. Once he's done that, that binds the Attorney General, I believe, and going after the Attorney General is improper and unfair.
So you're saying Republicans went down the wrong road there, is what I'm hearing from you. I do want to get you on a couple of other topics, so I would love to get your take on Hunter Biden tonight as well, sir. As you know, convicted in criminal court on gun charges, President Biden has said that he would not pardon his son. But the White House today didn't rule out the possibility of the president perhaps commuting an eventual sentence. Would you be okay with that?
I think that the course of justice should be followed. I don't think the fact that somebody is the president's son entitles them to be out from under rule of law. The president, I guess, gets to make that decision once he sees what the sentence is. But having been a United States attorney, the sentence for a first offender in a reporting crime like this, particularly with the overlay of his drug addiction and the judgment impairment that relates to all of that, I'd be really surprised if the sentence in this case was enough to justify anybody thinking about commuting it.
We'll be watching, of course, the sentencing a few months away at this point. You sit, as I noted, on the Judiciary Committee. Justice Alito has refused to recuse himself from January 6th cases, saying to you and Senator Durbin in a letter last month that the flags used by January 6 rioters, flags flown outside his homes, were not put up by him but by his wife, and intimating in that letter that the flags were flown in response to neighborhood politics. He wrote in that letter that she, his wife, was, quote, greatly distressed at the time, due in large part to a very nasty neighborhood dispute, and went on to note a house on the street had displayed a sign attacking her personally. So Erin spoke with that neighbor who laid out this timeline of events. Take a listen.
I just want to emphasize that the interaction that happened on February 15th is the one that they're using as an excuse for why they flew the flag. And I really want to hammer home the fact that that happened on February 15th, and their flag went up 2 or 3 weeks before that. At best, he's mistaken, but at worst, he's just outright lying.
So she says Justice Alito is mistaken or outright lying in terms of that timeline. Do you feel you need further clarification from Justice Alito?
Yeah, and the problem is that with respect to the 9 justices of the Supreme Court and those 9 individuals alone, there is no place in the law for any proper fact-finding to take place. Every other government official is subject to fact-finding. Even the president had to submit to an interview about the documents in his garage. These justices won't allow themselves to be subjected to honest fact-finding. So we now have this statement from a justice of the United States Supreme Court that is demonstrably false unless he was a time traveler. So we really need to fix the rules over there, and that's why this Supreme Court ethics effort that I'm engaged in is so important. They should not be on an island of their own creation where no fact-finding about what the truth is ever gets done.
Real quickly, you talk about the limitations there. Constitutional scholar, Harvard Law professor Lawrence Tribe told CNN recently he thinks the chairman of your committee, Dick Durbin, isn't doing enough. He says there should be hearings on Alito. Do you agree with that? And is that something? Could your committee be doing more?
We are having, I think, a lot of work going on in a lot of different ways. I don't think anybody's ruled out the prospect of a hearing. You need to think carefully through who the witnesses would be at the hearing. You probably don't want to lead with a justice of the Supreme Court and walk right into a separation of powers objection. So you need to build the case carefully. We have some subpoenas out. The Finance Committee is doing its own investigative work. So there's a lot going on, and I think as a former prosecutor, you want to build these cases carefully and in proper sequence.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, appreciate your time tonight, and we will be watching to see what comes out of that. Thank you.